So good morning, everybody, and welcome. Thank you for joining us today for your first look at how bluQube can make a positive difference to you and your finance teams. We know that you are really busy, so this is just a short whistle-stop tour of some of the key features designed to help you maximise the efficiency of your teams. My name's Sarah Parslow, and I'm the sales coordinator here at Symmetry, and I work as part of the customer engagement team along with my colleague Nikki Wilkins, who is head of customer engagement and our resident product guru. Nikki, would you like to say hi?
Yeah, I'll say a brief hello because you're going to hear a lot from me this morning. So hello, and I'll speak to you in a bit.
Lovely, thank you, Nikki. So just a quick bit about us before we kick off. We've been working with colleagues in the FE sector now for over 25 years, 10 of which have been in the cloud as an Oracle Gold partner. We are very proud to have been working with our FE colleagues, finance teams, and all that time providing them with a powerful yet easy to use, reliable, robust value for money system. We have a very, very loyal customer base with over 80% of our customers being with us for over 10 years. And here are a few of our long-standing customers. I'm sure you might recognise a name or two. As you probably know, we don't use resellers. We look after our customers directly, and we pride ourselves on the quality of the relationships we have with them. We support them to achieve their targets. So that's enough waffle from me. Without further ado, I am delighted to pass over to Nikki for your first look at bluQube. Over to you, Nikki.
Thanks, Sarah. Yeah, so my aim this morning is to give you a brief look at software. I'm not going to cover all the things that it does the same as everybody else. As Sarah's explained, we've been supporting FE colleges for 25 years. So yes, we can do all the things you would expect a modern, intuitive finance system to do. The three things that I want to focus on are what I think makes bluQube different. So the fact that we have strived to make our software incredibly easy to use, that we have made reporting easy to understand and easy to access, and enabling people to help themselves rather than relying upon finance teams spending time distributing and sending reports out. And lastly, the level of support, the level of help that's available within the software. So again, enabling people to help themselves. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to give you a look at the interface and how that changes according to different users. We're going to look at the quick menus that enable you to get around and get to what you need to do. And we're going to have a quick look at dashboards. So into the software. And here we are, we're logged in as an FD in my demonstration system. And this user has full access to all aspects of bluQube. So across the top here, we have our system areas. And you'll note that I have two areas here called buying and selling. And that's really highlighting to you that you're able to tailor menus, to configure menus and customize them to your own needs. If you prefer the terminology such as accounts payable, accounts receivable, actually set up already within bluQube, straight out of the box, are template menus that use that terminology. These relate to menus down the left-hand side of the screen here. So as we click on buying, you can see we have now generated a series of folders. And each one of these folders then contains the screens and the modules that have been set up. And again, you can tailor these to suit your needs. You can create your own modules. You'll see in a moment, I'm going to log in as a different user, and they'll have a very different menu setup. So that's the full menu, but that's not how most of our users navigate bluQube. In fact, on here, on the right-hand side of the screen, we have what we call our quick menu. And this gives you a list of the recently used modules that you've been accessing. So for example, if you were dealing with month end or year end, you'd be accessing screens you don't go to on a regular basis. Once you've gone to them once, they'll then sit here under recently used. And then you also have a list of favorites. And that is how most of our users, even heavy users within the finance team, access the things they do on a daily basis. Beneath that, this is actually a suggestion that came from one of our customers. He said it'd be really useful to have a document finder so that if we're looking at a purchase invoice that's come in from a supplier where they're creating a purchase order, we could just tap that in and go straight to it. And here you have said document finder. In the center console here, this is what we call our home screen. And this gives a list here of tasks that a user has to do. Pleasingly, I'm on top of all of my tasks, so they're all counting 0, but you'll see, as I say, I'm going to go across to a different user in a moment, and they'll have things that they need to action. And then beneath that, we have what we call our report dashboard. And the key message for me to get across to you this morning is that within this customizable dashboard, you will be able to build whatever you wish. We always say to our customers, if you can imagine it, we can build it. So there is some examples here, but by no means is this a limit to the capability that this dashboard has. So here is one that I'm often asked to show, which is looking at income to date or sales to date. So within my organization, we can see 2021 overall. We can drill into that. We can see that precise value, and then we can start going down through the structure here. So we're now looking at different sales channels. We could look at equipment sales, we could look at service sales. Let's drill into equipment. And then I've got another view, which is giving me equipment sales across my 3 regional centres. So I've got London, Manchester, and Nottingham. Ultimately, I can drill into that, and I get to what we call a drill table or a grid. And this enables me to interrogate the information that makes up that graphical chart. So here, it does look very much like an Excel table. That's not by accident. It will behave like an Excel table, as you might expect. So for example, I can sort columns in ascending or descending order. I can apply filters to say I only want to look at a particular filter. And also I can drill in, either drilling to the customer or drilling ultimately to that transaction, to be able to view the header information, to be able to see things like payment schedules if they've been set up, and then also to collapse that header and read the line level detail. So that's a quick look at our dashboards. I'd be delighted to spend the rest of the morning just showing you the power of these, but I will move on and catch up with something else. So we said this is available for all users, and here I'm going to go and log into a different user. And you'll be able to see a completely different view. So this is Gaynor. Gaynor's my operations manager within my organization. So she has access to the operations cost centers. And this is her budget view. And this is giving her a picture of where she spent across certain cost centers, what was allocated to her at the beginning of the year, what she's got left to spend. As I say, she's got a much simpler menu because she's only allowed to access certain areas of the software. And she has got a count bar here that's telling you that she's got 7 purchase orders to look at. When she drills into that, that then takes her to a screen, and we're looking at ones that are going through authorization, orders that are waiting open, just so. Okay, so we've looked at a clean interface, we've looked at quick menus, we've looked at dashboards. We're now going to look at help within the software, and this is something that we get a lot of feedback on from people that are considering changing to bluQube from their existing supplier. And one of the complaints they have about their existing suppliers is that help in their software is difficult to understand or isn't available, and actually help from their support team isn't as strong as it could be. One of the things that's worth mentioning about our support team for bluQube is that we only hire people that have got an accounting and finance-based training background. So that means that, yes, they have an expert knowledge of how bluQube works, but they also have an expert knowledge of the types of accounting processes that you'll be trying to complete. And so they can help you in a very specific way. We're going to look at what the software does here. So we're going to look at context-driven help. We're going to look at plain and simple language. That might sound obvious, but it will become more apparent when you see what I mean. And we're going to look at signpost guides. So here we are going across to requesting a new supplier. And one of the first things to explain is that all of our screens are laid out in the same way. So if I go up to the top right-hand side of the screen, I see there's a green button here. Action buttons like create a new request will always be a big green button. They will always be found in the top right-hand side of the screen, just so. Now we're going to look at, so we've not seen this before, so we're going to click on the question mark and find out more. And here we're taken into the help area within bluQube. And this is already recognized that we're in the request new supplier screen. It's going to say, let's see if we can get more help. It's going to talk us through the natural sequence of events. and then it's going to explain to us the things we need to do in order to create a new request. And we can go further from here. So we can navigate through the help area by going through the menus, just so. We can click on search and we could type in a phrase. So we could say, well, I'm trying to think about budget accounts. And I can even use abbreviations, and it will use a search string to give me the most likely things I'll be looking for. And if I prefer videos rather than help pages, we have a selection of videos that have been recorded by our support team for every screen within the software. So we've got our help. We now understand what we need to do to complete the screen. And at this point, I'm going to do something slightly unusual. I'm going to purposely generate an error message. And the reason I'm doing that is, as I've explained, so that you can see bluQube does use plain and simple language to understand what's going on. And this is as a result of feedback that we've had from people using other applications, where one of their biggest bugbears is they get an error message and it just quotes a reference number and it doesn't explain what the problem is, and so it's of no help. Here you can see it's telling me there's 3 things I need to address. If you're quick to count, you might notice that there's only 2 boxes highlighted on the screen. If I click here, I'm taken to that error. It's moved me on a page and it's saying, here is the address line, and in red underneath, it's telling me I need to put something in. There we go. Okay, so we've covered some of what help can do there. I'm also now going to pick up on signpost guides. So signpost guides help users where there are more complex processes. So within finance, there's often processes that have multiple steps. I've clicked on the systems administration area here. You can see that my white space has now changed. What we're looking at is what we call a control center. So this is where we collect a series of screens or modules, and this acts like a toolbox. So we've got ones for systems administration, for debt management, for cash management. As we see, they will all have within the white space the things you're going to most likely use in order to complete those processes. As an example, I'm going to click on the create an analysis code here, and we're now on a screen where, as you can see, I have multiple steps across the top, and this is acting as a breadcrumb trail that leads me through this process. So I would select what type of code I wanted to create. Within my system, I've got 3 dimensions to my chart of account. I've got an expense code, center, and project code, and I can select which one of those I want to create. I'd enter that information in, and then I'd move on to the next step. And what I'm trying to explain to you here is bluQube is helping you make sure that you tick each box within this process. And it makes it very easy to get that process right. And it makes it nearly impossible to get the process wrong. And again, this is as a result from feedback of people using other applications where they've said, gosh, if I miss something out, then actually the whole process falls apart. And here, as you can see in bluQube, it's impossible to do that. Okay, so that's help. We're now going to take a quick look back at those grids that I've introduced you to, and I'm going to show you how you can work with them in a more detailed way to tailor your experience and other people's experience so that it works for you. I'm going to make use of my favorites, and we're going to go to purchase invoices. Now, this is already dropped into my preferred view of the software, but I'm going to go back to the default view for a moment. Here, we're looking at a range of invoices. For a start, I can go in and I can type in T for today's date, and I could just look at whether we've processed any invoices today. Not yet. I could change that to look back across a full year's worth of invoices, and now that's giving me a much longer search range. I showed that you could start to reorganize these columns, but we can do much more than that. So I could put in a control break that enables me to now see this grid and broken down by each supplier. At the moment, I'm looking at this as a paginated view. That might not suit you. You might, like me, prefer to scroll through information. So we can go to format and we can change the number of rows per page so that we can scroll up and down. Having done that, I might want to start seeing totals at the bottom of each of these control breaks, and I can input that here. I can include a grand total. I could choose an average or a count, but the most appropriate thing here would be to sum total up. And there we are, that's now been included, so we can see by each supplier a sum total. We can also collapse those so that we're just seeing the summary view. one of the things that I'm going to borrow from one of my own existing customers is when they've used screens like this, particularly in approval screens, they use highlighting in order to make it clear what users should be looking at. So we're going to go to the highlight area. We're going to call this red flag. And we're going to apply a condition that says when invoices are over a certain value, then they'll get highlighted in red. So we're going to say when it's greater than or equal to, and let's pick 10,000. It will then make it very, very clear that these invoices need more attention. And this is something, as I say, that I've seen users apply in approval screens, in the payment run screen, so that you're paying a particular attention when something falls out of a specific criteria. Another thing that I've seen users do to great effect is make use of the chart features. So I've got a customer that's done away with producing long monthly reports at board meetings to explain spend, and instead they just actually fire up the software and talk through live. So they use a chart that looks like this, where they're looking at suppliers. Again, they're looking at the gross value spent within a given period, and then they will sit within the meeting and they will say, okay, let's look at this chart. And that's giving a percentage spend by supplier. They can hover over and get that full value. They might look at that and say, well, there's nothing we can do about the steel prices at the moment, so we'll remove that from this chart and look at where else our spend is falling. And as I say, this is in the purchase invoice screen, but you've got the ability to make use of this in any screen across the software. When we've created these, as I say, you've also got the ability to save these views. So I can save a report, and I can either save that as a private or a public report, which means that other people will also have access to it. So we could call this purchase chart, for example. And now when I save that, not only will it become my preferred default view, but I could also make that available to other people. Okay. Last stop on our quick tour around bluQube, we're going to give you a quick look at reporting. I'm going to show you the standard reporting area, and I'm also going to show you how we can connect to Excel to give you the power of reporting within Excel. Okay, so we're going to go to reporting. And here you're going to see the reporting suite within bluQube. Now, I've already talked to you about reporting grids. But here with this area, you can see just the full range of different grids that we can access that all behave in the same way that I've just demonstrated. We also have our Excel-based reporting tool, and I'll show you that in a moment. But I'm going to start now here, just at the standard reports area. And again, we have a series of topics giving me a list of different reports that I can run, all of which you would expect a modern finance system to be capable of. And these standard reports are fixed formatted reports that have a header, have a footer, have a defined layout so that they can be easily run and set out from the system. You'll see here, I've got a green button that's saying schedule, and this means I've got a report the way I want it. I've defined the reporting parameters. Actually, the system can automatically send this out on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And I have customers that now produce their management reporting, produce budget reporting automatically from the software without them needing to press a button. So here we've got the ability to save our parameters, so to define how we want reports to look. So we're going to look at a P&L summary here. That's set up now, all those parameters. I don't need to fill anything out, and I'm just going to run that report. So we are looking at our P&L. I've got that set up to look at income and expenditure to give me subtotals by headings, so sales, staffing, premises, and so on. I'm looking at plan actual variance, year-to-date actual variance. And I can also now start to tailor this to suit my own needs. So although it is a standard report, actually I could say, I don't want this column, and I can remove that column from the layout. As you can see, I've got formatting options. So I could start putting in conditional formatting on certain areas if I wish to. Once I've got this report looking the way I want it, I can then download this to PDF, Excel, or other formats that might meet my needs. So although it is a standard reporting area, as you can see, you actually have a huge amount of capability to tailor these reports to suit your preferences. But if you prefer to work within Excel, we also have an Excel-based reporting tool. So I'm going to show you that now. So we're now in Excel. And we can see here we have an element of bluQube sitting within the Excel interface. And this is giving me the ability to, again, look at topics, to define some of the data that I'm looking for, and then live connect the Excel workbook to the bluQube database. So we're not manually extracting data and keeping it outside of the finance system. We're just using Excel as our interface to create how we want this worksheet to look. From here, we've got the ability to bring in other reporting fields from the database. So, for example, I've got my 2 plans there. I can add in a 3rd plan if I wanted to. And all of that is bringing through from the bluQube system. Well, I think that's as much as I can cover in a brief period of time. So, Sarah, I'm going to hand back to you.
Oh, thank you very much, Nikki. That was brilliant. So there you have it, your first look at bluQube. As you can tell, we love it, and we're sure you will too. So if you want to move towards a reliable, robust, intuitive system which can support your FE finance teams as your college develops and grows, we would be delighted to show you more. So please do visit the website if you get a moment. And also we'll be sending you a recording of this session to share with any colleagues or have another look again. Here are the contact details for Nikki and myself. We love a chat. Please do give us a ring or drop us a line, and we'd be very happy to book in a time to show you some more. So thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure speaking with you all, and we're really looking forward to seeing you again. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you.